All right, guys. So this week's book is called The Medusa Plot by Gordon Corman. It is part of the 39 Clues series. This is a mystery series. I have quite a few of them. If you look on my bookshelves, I bought a whole mess of them this summer. Um, I've heard lots of good reviews about these. They're mysteries. And I believe each book stands on its own. So if you like this, you don't have to read them in order, even though this is book one. I think you can read them kind of in whatever order you'd like. But this is the Medusa plot. We're going to read part of the prologue. Remember, in books, we can have prologues and epilogues. A prologue being something that happens before a book is written. So, information that we as readers need to know in order for the rest of the story to make sense to us, stuff that happened before the story began. A lot of times you'll see an epilogue at the end of the book. That happens after the story is over. So the story ends, and they tend to give us some updates about who those characters were and what happened to them after the story ended. But for today, we're going to read from the prologue. So here we go. The Medusa Plot by Gordon Corman, and this is a mystery book. Napa Valley, California, 5:42 a.m. Pacific Time Zone. Fisky Cahill loved the early morning, the glorious moment when the sun's rays broke over the mountaintops. He would always be an Easterner, but there was no place quite like California. He eased himself into the mineral bath, feeling the bracing sting of water heated by magma trapped deep within the earth. The ache and stiffness of his 69-year-old body seemed to melt away, and he knew complete relaxation and contentment. Nothing could spoil the perfection of this moment. He closed his eyes. That was his first mistake. There was a tiny splash as the snake hit the water. It was a water moccasin. A baby. The venom is strongest in the very young. Fisky never saw it. He was aware of a sudden stab, followed by blinding pain, and then blackness. Two men in coveralls lifted him out of the tub and administered a tiny injection of antivenom into his abdomen. Then they wrapped him up in a vinyl pool cover, carried him to a panel truck, and loaded him inside. As an afterthought, one of the men fished the snake out of the water and tossed it into some small grass. If it survived and happened to bite another resort guest, it was no concern of theirs. Ponce, Puerto Rico, 9:42 a.m. Atlantic time zone. Long, powerful strokes propelled Regan Holt through the sparkling Caribbean. At 13, she had already completed 7 Ironman triathlons, but now she was training for the World Championships. Puerto Rico's lesser known southern coast was the ideal place for it. Great weather, uncrowded roads for running and cycling, and warm, crystal clear water for swimming. There was even entertainment for those grueling ocean marathons. Through her goggles, she enjoyed the floor show, hundreds of fish species, colorful coral, and a jolt of surprise threw her off her rhythm, and she struggled to maintain her textbook form. At first, she thought it was an undersea mirage, but no. 20 yards away, a few feet below the surface, floated a scuba diver in an anti-shark cage. What's going on? That was when she saw the hammerhead. It was big, an 18-footer at least. It moved in a serpentine pattern, its oddly placed eyes sweeping the reef. When its attention locked on Regan, she knew instantly. The long body became a guided missile hurtling toward her. Panic was immediate and total. Not even the fastest human could outswim a shark. The cage, it was her only option. She made for it, expecting at any moment to feel the devastating bite of jagged teeth. The diver read her mind and opened the cage door. She flung herself inside, slamming the gate shut behind her, just as the hammerhead-shaped snout smashed into the titanium bars. The very sea itself seemed to shake. Regan was thrown back against the frame, but the structure held. The diver pulled on a signal rope, and a mechanical winch began to lift the cage out of the water. As they broke the surface, she spied the boat. Relief flooded over her. The cost of this training session would not be her life. Crew members swung them over the gunwale and set them down on the deck. It was all Regan could do to maintain her footing as she stepped onto the wooden planking. Thanks, you guys. That was so close. And then she noticed that one of the sailors was pointing a gun at her. London, UK, 1:42 p.m., Greenwich Mean Time Zone. When anyone advised Natalie Cabra to find a happy place, that place was always Harrods. That was the reason for her mental health day, away from the boarding school. When the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. And where better than the most famous department store in the world, located in the heart of London's Knightsbridge. A glance at a bus stand billboard took the wind out of her sails. It was an advertisement for Addie Works Wonders, a non-profit organization dedicated to global disaster relief. Peering compassionately out was the organizer's founder, radiating charity, goodwill, and kindness. Natalie didn't believe it for a second, and she was in a position to know. That woman, Isabel Cabra, was Natalie's mother, a hard-hearted, cold-blooded conspirator, arsonist, murderer, and terrorist. The only reason she had formed an organization that did good in the world was that it had been her ticket out of jail to parole and community service. Natalie pitied the poor community Isabel was assigned to serve. Just the sight of her mother almost made her turn around and go back to school. It had been Mom who had first introduced her to Harrods. But one couldn't blame Harrods for that, Natalie concluded, stepping in through the brass-plated revolving door. Muscle memory took her directly to the girls' department, designer only, of course. Without once consulting a price tag, she collected an armload of outfits and headed for the fitting room. She stepped inside, wondering at the second click that came a moment after she shut the door. She tried the handle, locked. And then her world tilted, dropping her against the mirror. The entire cubicle lifted suddenly and began to move forward. In the girls' department, the shoppers paid little attention to the large box being carried out of the department by two employees in Harrods uniforms. No one heard the screams that could not penetrate the soundproof enclosure. And I'm going to stop there. So on Schoology, you have the paper that you need that we fill out in class. You can just jot your information down on a piece of loose leaf, and then when you come to class next time, grab your binder, and if you would, please transfer it to your pink sheet, because remember, you are responsible for these. They are part of your independent reading grade at the end of the marking period. Okay, I hope you like this. If you have any questions or if you would like to check out the book, come and see me and we'll get that taken care of. All right, until next time.